Good day. This is Cutlex, and I'm going to be doing commentary for our quarterfinal match between myself and Jagomu, who is the creator of the grid draft format and DodoBot's master. So, always a fun time to play against Jagamu, and usually pretty intimidating. It's certainly not a matchup where you can count on your experience to carry you through. So I have our draft picks pulled up, and as you can see, there are a lot of strong monsters in here. Jagamu has drafted Nautilid first, which really underlines all of the rest of his choices. Nautilid is one of the best monsters in the game, and especially in grid draft, it can overshadow a lot of other monsters. So, using that lens, the two best monsters to go along with Nautilid that he drafted are Eagle and Graphonix, who are both very strong magic DPS, and they really appreciate the sorcery that Nautilid is going to put on them, as well as the combo, and in Eagle's case in particular, the shock that it's going to put on the other team so that Eagle can have extra hits on his Thunderbolt and other general abilities. But beyond that, it looks like Jagamu drafted a bunch of debuff monsters, and I was a bit concerned about that in the early frames, but as you can see in my last frame, I picked up another constant menace in the metagame, which is Tanuki. And Tanuki really lets you dial down your worry meter a couple notches when it comes to debuffs, just from how effective it is at preventing the debuffs from being applied, which lowers the ceiling on proliferate chains, and it just by default wants to be spamming mass restore. So you will have a lot of debuffs removed. It's hard for them to be applied, and it's hard for them to put those debuffs together into a lethal death blow sweeping attack. So wasn't really too concerned about debuffs coming at me, but I was a bit unsure about what the rest of the team looked like because I was about 100% on Jagamu's team being Nautilid plus Eagle plus Graphonix, but I wasn't sure what the other three monsters were going to be. In my mind, I thought he drafted Yukan and Bard, who are both very strong might buffers, and in Yukan's case, he also can throw in some very strong attacks, alongside having brawn over brains. So being alongside Nautilid means that he's going to end up with a ton of might. So maybe even the crab Yukan could be his third sweeper. But in that case, I wasn't sure what his last um, monster would be, another support or DPS monster, maybe the seahorse to spread more poison because as we get to my team, you'll see that I have a very glaring earth weakness, and the seahorse is the only mon on his team that really can apply strong earth damage. So I wasn't quite sure what to come at, but I was pretty sure those five monsters are going to be on the team, and I wasn't sure what the last one was going to be. A big question for me was the fact that he did draft Killin to go along with his other shock monsters, but then in the last frame he neglected to pick up Eldergel, who would have been a very strong sorcery DPS that also has some shock support. And he elected Bard and Graphonix over that. So that made me assume that he wanted to use both of those monsters. So anyway, that was my thought process going into building my team. And as you can see from the monsters that I've picked up, I have a lot of strong sidekick monsters. I have Kitsune and Vero and Silvero, and I have Reduga and Scorch, which aren't directly sidekick monsters, but they have buff mastery, so they can apply it. And we also have Ascendant, who's just very strong in general. So my first inclination is to try to put together some sort of buff team. But as you can see, I don't have that many DPS monsters. In the second frame, I could have picked up Ornithopter, who would have been a very strong addition for Sidekick, but I saw these two monsters here in Mega Rock and Rampede alongside with Silvero, and I just could not let them go because I had the first pick on that. Because I'm clearly going to take Silvero to go with my other two Sidekick monsters, and then I would be opening myself up to powerful Earth attacks. Rampede and Mega Rock both having that. So I had to sort of hate draft those two, and then ended up with a whole line of solid DPS monsters, but they don't really care that much about Sidekick. So I decided eventually that we're gonna build some Sidekick, and then we're gonna throw in Rampede because Rampede is just absolutely broken. I shouldn't say broken. He's an A plus mon. I don't know if he's an S mon, but he is extremely strong. He has I forget what it's called, Divine Shield, I think. When he gets a buff, he gets a bit of shielding and a charge stack. So he really likes charge. And as such, he goes alongside these two buff mastery mons of Scorch and Reduga extremely well. And also I just accidentally have a Prime Glory lineup in Tanuki, Reduga, and Rampede. So I have that to fall back on, but I really like the Sidekick, and I played against the Sidekick team in my last match, so I'm sort of interested to see how it goes for me. And if I have to, I can fall back on Tanuki. And if Jagomu goes full on debuffs, I also have, just by accident in the first frame, a Grummy, which has the same light shift passive as Tanuki, so I could have a double curse resistance available if needed. And those are sort of my thoughts that went into building my team, and we're going to see how it matches up against Jagomu's monsters. So here we go. And I can see immediately that Jagomu doesn't have the two might buffers, and I'm thrown for a bit of a loop here. It looks like he's going to be leaning into shock. So it doesn't really change my plan, which is to use the buff mastery on Scorch to put a full offense on Silvero and delete Nautilid. Now, Nautilid is very strong, but it's weak to Magic Wind, which Silvero has, and Silvero is very strong. So getting a very strong full offense from Scorch gives him enough power to delete that Nautilid turn 1. So I'm feeling pretty good here. This was my plan to try to neuter the speed on Jagomu's team, but the Penguin comes in, and I'm not super familiar with him, but he just comes in and unleashes this blizzard and gets 24 hits and puts a bunch of debuffs on my monsters. So now we still have Killin, who's gonna add more shock. And now we have Graphonix, who's not really a turn 1 sweeper, but he's got 38 combo. And I'm thinking something's gonna die here. And it turns out he had a great preview on that AoE and just wrecks my line. So now I'm on the back foot. I've got to figure out what I'm going to do here because I have to turn this around. And I'm thinking if I can kill Graphonix, if I can kill two monsters, I can get back in this. But he's got a bunch of charge. Graphonix is all set up to sweep. I have to kill Graphonix at the minimum. So I'm looking here, and I've got a good preview with my DPS Ascendant. And so can I get this kill on Graphonix with enough bleed, because Silvero has bleed, to put him down? And look at all that bleed on him. So now I think I'm going to go check to see whether I've got enough bleed that I can avoid a double tap. Yeah, we've got 3,000 damage there on the Graphonix, and he doesn't have regeneration. So look at this. I've got a great preview on that Penguin, and Ascendant just barely misses. So I was thinking I was going to get back and be able to put myself on even footing here, or put myself ahead. but the penguin just barely holds on, and now it's got 28 charge stacks, and Killen is sitting there with 25 charge stacks, and Eagle is going to wreck something. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm pretty sure Silvero is going to die here because I very explicitly didn't heal him. I was thinking maybe I could heal him with Ascendant, but I wanted that kill on the penguin to put myself ahead. And now that greed is punishing me. So Silvero's now broken on his Phoenix Affinity. So now at the minimum, we're hoping that he survives this thunderstorm to make Eagle do an AoE, and he doesn't. So now Eagle can just use a single target attack on one of these monsters, and he can use a Thunder Strike or an Explosion for maximum abuse of Precision Strike, but he uses the ultimate, and he hits, and Ascendant dodges all but the first strike, which the first one's guaranteed, but Ascendant has a lot of dodge, and he's got the Spell Shield, and through sheer luck, Ascendant punishes Eagle using his ultimate instead of the single target attack. So now I've got a blessing here. The comeuppance, we both have had a Mon that survived a sliver of health and shouldn't have. So now I've got to kill two monsters here, and I'm pretty sure I can because Rampede is very strong and he's got a Might stack. So the question is whether I heal Ascendant and take a kill with Rampede, or try to take 2 kills and then try to finish this game with Vero and my Rampede. And Rampede has got mana problems because I didn't check my set very well, and I'm using a set that doesn't even have enough mana to use its ultimate on the first turn. So I'm sort of beating myself up here. And Ascendant is trying real hard to get redemption, and he doesn't. He fails for the second time to kill that penguin, and so I have to settle for an AoE on Rampede. And the AoE does get Eagle's Phoenix Affinity, but not enough to get the double kill on Eagle. And now we're in trouble. In retrospect, maybe I should have just full sent on Eagle and hoped that I could have handled the force together. But, I really wasn't expecting Ascendant to fail twice at killing the penguin, which I know now is fairly fragile. But not against Ascendant, apparently. And now Eagle is, Jagomu I was hoping was going to take the bait there because Ascendant was very clearly, he had 2 fire and poison. So he was going to die to the debuffs. I was really hoping that Jagomu didn't realize that and sent an AoE to knock him out. But Jagomu was very observant, and instead he hit the Vero. So now I've got this Vero that I can't really heal with a small chunk of his life alongside his Rampede. But the Rampede, even with all these severe mana problems, like, I can't even use severe cuts on my second turn, but I'm going to ship it with level 2 claws, and Rampede is strong enough that that doesn't matter. Rampede is going to take Eagle out, no problem. But now I have these 2 supports, both of which are magic-based, and I'm going to have to try to solo them. And Tarblob here is pretty good against this sort of the sidekick-ish team because it applies Tether, which lowers dodge. But it doesn't even matter because Killen just carrying the late game DPS wrecks Rampede with his ultimate. And now Vero is just, defiant, trying to get a kill there. I thought maybe with the preview, like maybe Vero could use some sidekick magic, but no, there was no way. And Jagomu puts me down. So now I immediately go back and change my Rampede. I added, I think, an Omni Ring. I think I added an Omni Ring to give him some more mana and mana regeneration. And other than that, I think the only other change was to Dark Shift Ascendant. And now Dark Shift Ascendant shouldn't miss kills on this penguin or this Killen or whatever I'm going to attack. Maybe the Eagle. But, I'm on the play again, and we're going to do it again. And we get no charge from that, which I think is An aberrant anomaly. But it doesn't matter, because Silvero is so damn strong. It was never even a question of whether we were going to get that kill on the Nautilid. But Jagomu was led with Eagle first round this time, I think for increased first turn strength to guarantee the kill. I'm thinking now that at this point, I'm thinking that he got a really high roll on Penguin, and there's no way he can replicate that. So I just wanted to basically have a mulligan on that first game. But kill and attack first, I think he gets a bonus for attacking first, and adds a ton of shock. And the Penguin attacks second, gets 28 hits on his thing this time, and now Eagle has 41 combo and an AoE. So this line is just toast, even through the Phoenix Affinity. So now I'm thinking this is pretty bad. I'm in a similar but worse state as last time, but that's okay, because last time we know that Vero comes in, he's got ultra speed, which is going to give me a bunch of combo and hopefully a bunch of sidekick. And now we've got a Rampede that can actually use his moves. So I've got a 2% dodge on that Eagle. So I'm thinking, all right, we can knock this Eagle down, and hopefully I can kill that Penguin, and we'll be line to line. We've got this. Look at all that bleed. So now we're looking at that preview, and I was pretty sure I had a good preview before that attack. Now we get random weakness. And the Penguin survives again against the dark shifted Ascendant. And now I'm pretty sure we're cooked. The Penguin held on. It's got 43 charge stacks, which means it's going to proliferate like crazy. We've got Killen, who's so excited to use his ult on Rampede again. He does it first to build up that combo and get some shot going. And the Penguin adds a bunch more combo. And now Graphonics, who isn't Eagle, but just, I guess he didn't get a good preview on his AoE. Maybe all of his AoEs are physical attacks. And he just takes the kill on Rampede, which is wise. Because as he's seen so far, this Ascendant, this DPS Ascendant, has not been threatening at all. So I'm thinking now I've got to knock out this Graphonics to get back in this game. And I'm looking at my preview, and I take one look at that on the Penguin and bail, and then just take down the Graphonics on a not great preview. So Ascendant is trying to make me believe in him, but it's just not working. And for the moment, I had forgotten about Phoenix Affinity, so knocking down Graphonics basically was useless. So Graphonics has 42 charge now. Jagomu has all of his supports ready to go. I'm toast. There's no way. It's just a question of whether I want to send Vero at him again, but I don't think so. I think Vero wants to go home. So now the big change I brought in here is a little used, underappreciated monster called Tanuki. Pause for booing. And I'm using that now instead of my buff mastery Scorch. So because I've thought that I may have misevaluated my role in this matchup. I am not the beatdown in this matchup. So I'm brought in Tanuki. I'm hoping that I can outlast his debuffs and weather his storm and come out on top in the mid-game. So as you can see now with Tanuki, I got some buffs. Tanuki doesn't make great combo. I had a good preview with Silvero. I thought maybe I'd still be able to take out that Nautilid, and it wasn't. I missed some crits. The bleed wasn't enough. And so now I'm thinking this is pretty bad. Nautilid's going to come in. Nautilid is going to do Nautilid stuff, and there's nothing I can do about it. Because killing Nautilid on turn 2 is not good. Giving Nautilid a single turn is extremely bad. As you can see, Nautilid had one turn, and everyone basically has a ridiculous amount of shield and buffs. So now killing Nautilid, the genie's sort of out of the bottle on turn 2 and beyond. Even though it's still good, but the Bon is still good, but killing it is just such a sink. And Eagle goes for the hit to try to take down Tanuki. But Tanuki is just barely tanky enough to hang on. And he got some dodges there from the spell shield, which might have been the difference. And I'm looking now with Silvero, and I could kill Nautilid, but I just don't want to. I have to start going for these DPSs because you can't just let Eagle sit there and build up buffs and aging and stats. And Raduga just goes off. So now I'm looking sadly. My AoE maybe could have killed Eagle, but I already used it to full restore the Tanuki, which is now not literally but effectively unkillable. And it's fine. It's fine. Silvero has so much in the tank that we just take down Eagle with enough bleed that it's not going to come back. So now we've got Graphonics. I'm in a really good spot here now because Killin only has a little bit of charge, and Graphonics comes in with a little bit of charge and no buffs. So it's going to take at least a turn for Graphonics to build up to sweeping potential, and I'm basically going to get free reign on my next turn to kill one of these monsters. Unless something unexpected happens, something I'm not expecting. So I think Jagomu is trying to figure out what's going on here, and he uses Graphonics to attack second to build combo. And I'm thinking now I might be in trouble. I did, in order to set up the last turn, I made Raduga weak to fire. So I just was willing to accept the fact that Graphonics was going to come in and just daring him to attack me. And as you can see, it seemed like Jagomu's best choice was to use Ball Lightning on Silvero to try to knock down some shield and remove some buffs. And now Tanuki's going to do Tanuki stuff, adding a bunch of buffs to my team, some healing, removes debuffs, and add some blind to the other team, which doesn't matter because Nautilid has Age of Purification, so every time Nautilid acts, it removes a stack from all of his teammates. So that blind doesn't matter. And as you can see, Silvero has so much in the tank that with 6 combo going second, it brings Graphonics all the way down. And probably with enough bleed for it to go down. I think I'm not even concerned about all that bleed. I'm just looking to see now, like, whether I want to make sure I get the double tap. No, we're going to full send the AoE. We're going to get so many buffs out of that because Raduga has doubled impact, which gives you additional hits if you hit weakness. And with that AoE, if any of those monsters are weak to ground, you get the double impact. So it's just a ton of hits, which lead to a ton of buffs, and just a greed play. But Jagomu now has brought in the Penguin to build up some combo and try to sweep with Killin. And Killin has 23 charge, a bunch of sorcery stacks, but apparently he doesn't like his premates. And I am surprised with how much damage Killin does here. I think if Silvero hadn't dodged 2 or 3 of those hits, between those hits and the debuff, Silvero may have went down there. But he didn't, and we're seeing now that Silvero is no Ascendant. Actually, I guess he is. Look, he survives with that tiny sliver. But now I'm going to check that bleed to make sure that I don't have to double tap that Penguin. So I think that Penguin's is gonna go down, and now I'm gonna attack Nautilid. I probably should have attacked Killin, but I can attack Nautilid for super effectiveness, which gives Raduga more hits and more buffs. So obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, I decided to go for that one. And now Jagomu brings in Harblob, just trying to lower my dodge here, add some debuffs, put a wound on me so that maybe I can't heal Silvero back up if he decides to go for Silvero again. And more really lucky dodges on Silvero. You can see Silvero's just got a sliver of health. And here comes the full restore. Tanuki just frees Silvero from a ton of debuffs, heals him up to about half with half shield through a wound stack. And now Silvero's just killing at will, and I've got this game like 99% here. I'm trying to decide right now whether I want to get greedy and use the single pip AoE, which probably should kill that tar blob, but why? Just take the tar blob. Why would I want to take my chances of winning from 99% to 95 or whatever it was? Just take the kill. No big deal. And now I think Jagomu is trying to figure out whether he's got any juice in his killing, and he decides he doesn't. So now the first thing I do after seeing that eagle hit on Tanuki, I go and change the equipment on Tanuki. I change him from a fan to a hammer to give him more toughness at the cost of crit, because I think that he's going to try to take out Tanuki, and if I can get Tanuki through the first turn, we're going to be good. But if I don't, I brought Scorch in as my replacement support instead of Vero, because if Tanuki goes down here, I want to bring in Scorch for some healing and buffing on Silvero to try to counterattack a kill. But we can see here, Tanuki gets hit for 11 from the Penguin. He's got a shock on him, so it turns on the additional hits from Thunderbolt. And here we go. But Tanuki survives with a sliver, and he dispels the poison, which may have killed him if it hadn't been dispelled. And just like that, this match was just on an edge of a knife. And Tanuki uses his ultimate on himself, and Tanuki now is basically, not literally, but effectively unkillable. He has no weakness, he has 2 barrier, he has full shield, and Raduga goes off and almost takes down Eagle by himself. So I'm thinking this is no problem. We're going to follow up with the Silvero, we're going to put some bleed on him, and the bleed isn't enough to bring down Eagle as a third attack from Silvero, which surprised the hell out of me. So now I'm thinking, oh, we're in trouble now, because now Eagle, it has a blind stack, which is really, really bad for Eagle, but Eagle still has a 65% chance of just breaking something. 2 A's and 30 stacks of charge. He's got a big hit in him. I don't think it's big enough to take down Tanuki, but an explosion on a Fire Weak Raduga, maybe. A explosion on Silvero, who has a couple barrier, but isn't all buffed up yet. And there it is, a big fat explosion on Silvero. And now I can't use full restore on Tanuki because he just used it on himself. So I just have to settle for the mass restore. And now Silvero is not looking good. So I'm trying to figure out now what my plan is. I need to kill Eagle, but beyond that, do I heal up Silvero? So now I killed him on the second turn, so now I'm trying to figure out whether I want to put pressure on his monsters or if I want to heal Silvero. And I decide here that Silvero has a bunch of, isn't full buffs, he's got a bunch of buffs, he's got a bunch of debuffs on him. I don't think I really care that much about Silvero. I think that Raduga is my win condition here, and I want to leave Silvero low so that he becomes a target, so that Raduga can continue to build buffs on himself and build aging and set up to clean up this end game. And if Silvero lives, then that's great. Silvero has enough power right now that he's basically just going to kill at will, so he can't really be ignored. So I feel pretty good in this spot right now. Silvero, like, once again, as Tanuki, like, am I not going to not mass restore? So I just get to heal Silvero basically to full for free because, you know, if you don't know what to do with Tanuki, 90% of the time you just want to jam Mass Restore. And second attack, Reduga breaks Griphonics down to Phoenix Affinity. And so now I'm thinking, what do we want to do here? Do I want to use the Blizzard? Or we're just going to 100% take the kill? This match has already had a ridiculous number of tiny sliver survivals. We don't want to play. I don't want to play that game. The Blizzard isn't really going to hurt the Penguin that much. I think he resists cold. And killing is not going to hurt him that much. So it's not worth it. Just take him down. But now we have Nautilid coming in. And we've got the full support lineup. And look at that attack from Killen. Killen brings down Silvero, which sort of surprised me. I didn't really think Killen had it in him, but now I have to respect the Killen. But I decide Reduga's my carry here. I'm going to bring in my other support, my Buff Mastery Scorch. We're going to put a full offense on Reduga, and then just look at the sad previews. I'm thinking I may have made a miscalculation here. But maybe it's the weakness on him. We'll get some more combo, and we'll see. Nope. 15 combo and a weakness stack make this Reduga's damage pretty sad. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. We have Scorch in play now, who's fairly tanky. We have Tanuki in play, who is very tanky. And Reduga, who I'm attacking Nautilid with the air attack so that he has an earth weakness that my opponent can't exploit. And he has 3 stacks of the dodge buffs. He's got a ton of barrier. Like, Reduga is effectively unkillable as well. So I'm thinking, okay, worst case scenario is that we go to infinity stacks. And if we do, I don't know how Reduga loses. Reduga is going to have 7 or 8 aging on him. He's going to have full buffs, and as soon as those infinity stacks start kicking in, there is nothing that Jagomu can do to stop Reduga from just breaking his monsters. And I think Jagomu is trying to take down Scorch, because Scorch is the weakest of these 3 monsters, and he also has Revive. So in a vacuum, if you can take Scorch down, it's a good idea. Now I'm thinking, okay, we got to get rid of that stupid weakness stack. Now we're going to do some damage. And I'm thinking I could kill the Penguin, but using the Penguin leaves me open to, or attacking the Penguin leaves me open to cold, which I think Killen has. So I don't really want to leave Reduga open to the cold attack, so we continue working on the Nautilid. The only monster on his team with aging, and where most of his shielding is coming from. So I get the feeling here, if I can take down Nautilid, I can have a more easy time wearing down the rest of this team. But Jagomu's trying to put together some action here so that Killen can try to take down one of these monsters. He probably doesn't like his preview here on Scorch. He's probably checking his other monsters to see what's going on. And Scorch, once again, very little surprise, is surviving. I'm not sure exactly what's putting on the wound stack. He might be trying to fish here for a wound stack on Scorch so that I have a harder time healing him back up to full. But, you know, it doesn't seem to be happening. So instead, we're at this support versus support 3v3 stalemate until I can get Reduga to a point where he can start finishing off these monsters. And Reduga is doing more damage than his previews. I think that's an artifact of the damage previews not taking into consideration the Sidekick procs from extra Sidekick. Or maybe it doesn't count in the double impacts. I'm not 100% sure, but Raduga is outperforming his previews. Not so much, though, that I'm willing to gamble on trying to take out the Penguin. Shockhopper. Finally, I've remembered his name. And we have a bunch of dodges on Scorch. Scorch is still looking pretty good. I guess he was going to try going to the Shockhopper last, but now we've made it to infinity stacks. And honestly, at this point, I don't really care if he kills Scorch. Like, I'm gonna keep Scorch healed up because that is gonna give me some combo, and it's sort of a waste to do it on anyone else. But ultimately, if Scorch goes down here, then I get to bring in Rampede with 2 infinity stacks, which is going to be a terror. So I outperform the preview. I finally bring down the Nautilid. And I'm looking here to see with infinity stacks if Jagomu can take down one of my important monsters, if he can bring down Tanuki, or if he can take down Raduga. But it's looking like he wasn't confident with killing, so he's waiting to see if Shockhopper can knock somebody down. But no, it's just not in the dice. And now Raduga is going to finish off just barely that Tar Blob. And we'll go ahead and get rid of all those debuffs we got from attacking him. And that should finish this out. I'm not sure if Jagomu... I think Jagomu might check to see if his double infinity stack Blizzard-infused killing can take one of these guys down, because it's definitely worth a check. But I really don't think it can happen with all of these buffs. Like, Raduga's resistant to water, so yeah, that was... Raduga was just going to take over that game. It was just a matter of time. So now, the next thing I do, I immediately go and I change my Tanuki's gear again after that fight, seeing how close he came to death on turn 1. And I change his hammer to a large shield, the biggest defense increase I can give him while maintaining some useful crit. I think he's got like 40-ish% crit. But the big thing here is he needs to survive for his turn. But I'm a bit confused here because Jagomu leads with Graphonics, who is not the same heavy hitter turn 1 that Eagle is, and that confuses me a bit. It looks like through sheer luck, the Tanuki ended up with a broken armor, so maybe Eagle kills him there? I don't think so. But now I'm sitting here and I'm thinking that I'm understanding Jagomu's plan, because now he saw how big of a hit I got on my swing back on my turn 1 last time, and I'm thinking that he's challenging me. Because right now, Graphonics has 13 or 15 stars, and he's going to start doing a bunch of damage next turn. So I get to choose whether I want to kill a support or whether I want to kill Graphonics. And if I kill Graphonics, he brings in Eagle, and Eagle now has these 2 very strong debuff proliferate monsters to build a bunch of combo and threaten a huge hit. So now we're going to see how this goes. But, that may have been a slight miscalculation. I don't know if it's a miscalculation or not. I shouldn't say that. I got very lucky on my Raduga. My Raduga built up a ton of buffs attacking the Graphonics. So now, with medium to low rolls on his debuff appliers, we've got this Eagle. And the Eagle doesn't even bother trying to hit the Tanuki. So now I feel like I'm in pretty good control of this game. Tanuki is basically unkillable, although he's slightly less effective because of that large shield. We're gonna just try to take out his damage dealers again, like we did last game, and we're just gonna let these monsters stay in play because it seems like Tanuki has them more or less under control. So we unleash the beast and the AoE on Silvero, third monster, a bunch of buffs, and we take down two fellows. So now we are well in hand on this game. We are all set to finish this off. I think this game is like at this point I feel like it's over. It doesn't even matter. Who is he going to kill on my team that's going to change the outcome here? I think that if he kills Silvero through Phoenix Affinity, I bring in my Rampede and just kill whatever I want. So, you know, Jagomu's got to play to his outs here, and he does a swing because he still has three monsters. There's always a chance. But I think we're just trying to figure out how we want to wrap this game up. I think the difference here was the giant pile of buffs that Raduga put out on his first turn, which you really can't count on. And I think that between that and Tanuki interfering with the proliferate chain on the Shockhopper, I think that was the defining moment of this game. The transition there between my first turn and his second turn. So I don't think I really put any of that on Jagomu. I think he made a calculated gamble, and what can you do? So that's it. We made it to the end of the match. Jagomu put up a hell of a fight. I finally figured out that Tanuki is a good monster and brought it in. And I'm sure this is going to do nothing for all of the cries to ban Tanuki, but you know, he's a good monster against debuffs. I was pretty much wrecked without him, and bringing him in, still some of those games, Jagomu came within millimeters of knocking Tanuki out and changing the trajectories of those games. But you know, that's just I suppose how some of these monster battles go. So Jagomu was pretty well fought on that. I got pretty lucky with my selections and some of the die rolls, and I took it down. So thank you, Jagomu, for the match. And I am headed to the semis. Thanks, everybody.